Meet the real-life Willy Wonka Michele Ferrero. The man behind Ferrero Rocher was a true chocolate wizard. He had a private chocolate lab at his Monte Carlo home, was so secretive he rocked dark glasses whenever he appeared in public. That hazelnut spread recipe was written in Arabic and hidden in Cairo to keep it from spies. Tours of the headquarters in Alba, Italy are banned, and the company's products are made on machines built in-house, just like NASA. This is the extraordinary saga of how one Italian family turned hazelnut and coca into a global phenomenon. You won't believe the sweet surprises we have in store for you. Piedmont, northwest Italy, is a place where the majestic Alps frame the horizon and Switzerland is just a stone's throw away. Michele was born in this picturesque region, in the charming town of Alba, nestled between Turin and Genoa. It's a place famous for prestigious vineyards, Roman culture, and architecture that dates back to the 12th century. But our story really starts with Michele's dad, Pietro. This guy was like the Willy Wonka of Alba, but without the funny hat. Trained as a pastry chef, Pietro had a wild obsession. He wanted to find the perfect balance between coca and hazelnuts. And guess what? Hazelnuts were like the local superheroes here, easy to find and totally down to party with coca. Pietro's quest led him to create his very own version of the now famous Gianduia, a thick chocolatey paste that became Alba's claim to chocolatey fame. Pasta Gianduia was the name, and it wasn't just a regional hit, it was a nationwide sensation. Now, imagine this creamy delight packaged in shiny aluminium foil and served up in small loaves that needed a good old-fashioned knife to get into. This stuff was so good, it needed some serious security. Fast forward to 1946, when Pietro and his brother Giovanni did something pretty epic. They didn't just settle for a pastry shop and a small chocolatier gig. Oh no, they had bigger plans. Together, they formed the company Ferrero and set out to turn this chocolate dream into a full-blown chocolate empire. But here's where things get a bit nutty. Pietro's best business decision wasn't made in his chocolate haven of a shop, it was made in the delivery room, when his wife, Pietra, gave birth to their one and only child, Michele, in 1925. Little did they know they had just welcomed the future chocolatier extraordinaire into the world. Michele grew up in a sleepy Alba, which was basically a rural town with about as much activity as a sloth convention, but oh boy, did he have big plans. He learned the ins and outs of the chocolate trade by sticking to his dad like Nutella on toast. But as fate would have it, tragedy struck. His dad passed away young at just 51, leaving the family business in the capable hands of his brother Giovanni. And less than a decade later, Giovanni also left this world, leaving Michele heartbroken and in charge of a chocolate empire in the making. Michele's dad had a knack for making unique treats, but let's be real, sometimes it was out of necessity. You see, back in the day, importing chocolate was about as easy as teaching a cat to tap dance, especially during wartime when Europe had Italy on its "no chocolate for you" list. But Pietro was no quitter. He rolled up his sleeves and got creative. Hazelnuts became his secret weapon. They were cheaper than chocolate and locally sourced, making them the perfect substitute. But Pietro didn't stop there. He cranked up production by establishing a company, a workshop, and even snagged a factory. Now, Michele stepped up to the plate, ready to write his own chapter in the Ferrero legacy, and boy, did he make an entrance. Instead of playing it safe with chocolate bars or using hazelnuts as a mere filling, he unleashed a game-changer, Super Crema. In 1949, just 2 years into Michele's reign, Super Crema hit the scene like a comet. This chocolate spread wasn't just delicious, it was affordable. Michele turned chocolate from a luxury treat into an everyday delight, and it came in a jar that sat proudly on the shelves next to the other spreads, ready to be slathered on bread. But here's where Michele showed his true genius. He understood something that most of his competitors were clueless about: the power of advertising and marketing. He sent out trucks painted in the company's colors, cruising through Italy and handing out chocolate to kids. It wasn't just chocolate, it was pure joy in a jar. Within a mere decade of Michele's leadership, Ferrero had gone from a local sensation to a global powerhouse. They'd opened 3 new factories, most of them not even on Italian soil. Michele's masterstroke? Moving into the German market, where he turned old missile factories into candy-making wonderlands. And he wasn't just riding on wartime nostalgia, he knew that people had developed a taste for confectionery bars during the war, when rations were handed out like candy. Michele seized the opportunity and ran with it. From Italy to the world, the Ferrero Empire was just getting started, and the best is yet to come. So grab a jar of Nutella, spread it on some bread, and get ready for the next chapter of this mouth-watering adventure. In 1964, Michele decided to give his beloved Super Crema a makeover. He waved his magic wand and christened it Nutella. Now, the name itself is a masterpiece, a fusion of the English word nut and an Italian diminutive associated with other delectable foods like mozzarella, portobello, and citronella. But it wasn't just a fancy name change. Michele had something big up his sleeve. You see, Michele was like a mad scientist in the kitchen. He inherited his father's obsession for finding that perfect balance of ingredients. Nutella emerged with a new secret recipe, one that's locked away tighter than a vault in Fort Knox. They don't even allow media tours of their factories, and the original recipe was reportedly translated into Arabic and guarded like a treasure in an Egyptian vault. But here's where Michele's brilliance truly shone. Nutella wasn't just a tasty treat, it was a sensation in the making. It quickly became a favorite among European kids, spreading happiness one spoonful at a time. But Michele wasn't content with just conquering Europe. In 1983, he decided to take on the world. He exported Nutella to the United States and boom, it became a global sensation. The name had universal appeal and Nutella started making its way into kitchens across the planet. The world couldn't get enough of that creamy hazelnut chocolate goodness. But did Michele rest on his laurels? Not a chance. In 1968, he pulled another rabbit out of his hat. He created Kinder, a product exclusively marketed to children. Kinder means children in German, and Michele knew he had a winner on his hands. Expanding production to Germany was a bold move, but Michele had an ace up his sleeve. Kinder was a more traditional confectionery delight compared to Nutella or Ferrero Rocher, but the blend of milk chocolate, sugar, milk powder, and cocoa set it apart from the rest. It was a step above, and the world loved it. But here's the real kicker. Michele's marketing prowess was unmatched. He kept the company's image squeaky clean and luxurious while launching a whole range of products for different markets. Each segment had its own brand, and the Ferrero Empire continued to grow. Fast forward 3 decades from inheriting his father's bakery, and Michele was ready to unveil his masterpiece. In 1979, Michele embarked on a journey to the sacred Rocher de Massabielle in Lourdes, southern France. It was a pilgrimage of sorts, and there, amidst the spiritual aura of the grotto where a saint once reported a vision of the Virgin Mary, inspiration struck. Michele decided to name his new chocolate creation Ferrero Rocher, a name that would resonate with the divine. Now, let me break down the sheer genius of Ferrero Rocher's composition. It's a work of art in 3 layers. First, a whole crunchy hazelnut, then dip in Nutella, and finally, it's wrapped in a delicate wafer shell topped with chocolate and roasted hazelnut pieces. It's like a symphony of flavors that dance on your taste buds. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Each piece is wrapped in gold foil, snugly nestled in a paper cup and stamped with the brand name. It's like holding a little nugget of luxury in your hand. This gold-wrapped aesthetic has become synonymous with wealth and decadence. In fact, the packaging is so iconic that plastic boxes or displays are designed to be as transparent as possible, emphasizing that glorious gold wrapping. Ferrero Rocher has become a staple of celebrations worldwide, a token of festivity and delight. And guess what? More than half of Ferrero Rocher's sales happen in the last 3 months of the year as folks gear up for Christmas and New Year's Eve. But Michele wasn't content with just conquering one flavor. He continued to push boundaries. Ferrero Rocher now comes in a variety of different flavors, each one as indulgent as the last. Michele's quest for global dominance didn't stop either. He aggressively expanded sales and production, taking Ferrero's delectable treats to every corner of the globe. He diversified the sourcing of raw materials and built not one, not two, but 8 factories across 5 continents, along with sales offices that ensured Ferrero was within reach wherever you were. Michele didn't just steer his father's chocolate company, he transformed it into a worldwide phenomenon. How did he do it? By fiercely protecting the company's image and segmenting it into distinct brands. Ferrero Rocher oozed decadence and prosperity. Kinder was a kiddo's dream come true, and Nutella was the go-to for just about everyone. But Michele's brilliance didn't stop at branding. The company remained politically neutral and rarely dabbled in sponsorship deals. Michele stayed true to his roots too. He funded the expansion of bus lines to make it easier for workers from the countryside to commute, and he supported a slew of social programs. The result? A workforce deeply embedded in the community, just like Michele himself. That's why, my friends, there has never been a strike at the Ferrero Rocher factory. Just a few years after unveiling Ferrero Rocher to the world, Michele established the Ferrero Foundation right in his hometown of Alba. This foundation is like a beacon of goodness, featuring a kindergarten, a school, a bar, workshops, fitness rooms, and even medical facilities. But here's the kicker. These amenities are available to employees who've dedicated more than 25 years to the company. Now, fast forward a bit. After Michele's passing in 2015, his legacy lived on in the capable hands of his sons, Giovanni and Pietro, named after Michele's father and uncle. The Ferrero Group didn't just survive. In 2019, the Ferrero Group was generating $11 billion in annual revenue, and in 2018, they flexed their muscles and acquired a whopping $2.8 billion worth of business from Nestle, their biggest competitor, cementing their global food market dominance. And speaking of dominance, here's a fun fact. Ferrero is the largest buyer of hazelnuts in the world. They gobble up around 25% of the entire global production of these tasty nuts. Now that's a nutty statistic. But the true measure of Michele Ferrero's impact is felt right at home, in his beloved Alba. What was once a quaint agricultural community has been transformed. Today, 1/5 of the population works for Ferrero. The heart of this global empire might be in nearby Turin, but Alba remains the beating soul of the Ferrero family. When Michele Ferrero died in 2015, he was the richest man in Italy, with a net worth of a jaw-dropping $20.55 billion. His obituary in Forbes magazine attributed his wealth simply to chocolates. But to us, to Alba, and to the world, he was more than just a chocolatier. He was the king of chocolate. Michele Ferrero's sweet success story is just a taste of the incredible tales we've covered. If you're craving more stories of business, brilliance, and flavor, you don't want to miss out our next video on how Starbucks brewed up a global coffee revolution. Go ahead, click that play button, and I'll see you there in a minute. Cheers!